What's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to helping you replace harmful patterns with new possibilities. In each episode, we'll explore topics that inspire you to be yourself, live your truth, and make lasting connections. In this episode, we're going to talk about how darn toxic you are. You're toxic. You're ruining your relationships. Okay, that probably felt really bad, awful, bleh, but very toxic, right? But seriously, if you realize that you are doing things that show you are a toxic person, then let's talk about it. And let's also clean up that definition of toxic, because I think the definition itself and how people express it being toxic is also toxic. I don't want to be confusing, so let's just get started. Are you ready? Let's go. First thing I want to do is talk about toxicity. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you my definition of it, because I think today people go around and they say toxic as you are bad, you are less than, you are worthless, you are mean, you're a hateful, spiteful person. And that is not a definition that I personally carry. And I don't believe it's helpful to create meaningful relationship if you other something, if you other somebody, you other their behaviors or things. I just don't think that's helpful. So for us, for me, for you, we're going to say that toxicity and toxic behaviors, toxic relationships are fundamentally ones that we want to change. Okay, how did that land for you? It's a relationship that you want to change. There's something about it that you want to change. And if we look at that and we say toxic person, we would say that there are behaviors about this person that we do not like and we wish to change. That's it. Toxic. But for any kind of relationship, there are two people in it. And so if there was a toxic relationship, we'd say it's a relationship that we want. There are fundamental behaviors about this in this relationship that we would like to change. It's simple as that. It's not bad. It's not good, but it's what you assign to it. And what I understand about changing people is that you can't. You can't. It becomes a disgusting cesspool of grossness because you can't change that person, and you're constantly trying and you're frustrated because you can't change that person. So with that said, if you've discovered that you are the quote toxic person in your relationships, then there is something about the behaviors that you have that you would like to change. And if you are saying that you are the toxic person, there is shame around the behaviors that you have that you would like to change. So what I'd like to do is get rid of toxic altogether. Let's just throw that away. It's garbage, throw it away. And just say instead that there are behaviors that you would like to change. Because if you put shame in there, it makes it a lot difficult to change it. What shame tells you in these situations is that you need to be different because everybody else is doing it this way. And it takes the focus away from you and your actions and your behaviors. You focus on being blamed, you focus on being guilted, you focus on being less than instead of actually making a change. So let's get rid of the idea of it being toxic, and let's say that you would like to change something about your behaviors. All right, with that out of the way, with that shame out of the way, we could look at your behaviors. All right, so you are the person who wants to change something about your relationship. Why? What are you doing? What are you discovering? What is the dynamic? What is happening in your relationships with your friendships and your coworkers, your family members? What's happening that you want to change? So maybe you say something that is rude, and you constantly are saying things that are quote rude, that people perceive as uncomfortable, and you notice a reaction to what you say. You notice that. And you're like, well, I'm the toxic one. I'm the one who wants to change my behaviors. I keep saying things, and the way the people I care about around me respond is to move away or to get upset or to insult me. And I don't want that. And I realize that I'm the person who keeps triggering that experience for them. I want to say good on you for recognizing your behaviors and how you're contributing to the dynamic of your relationship. Good on you. Fantastic. I think this episode is over. That's all you need to do. But seriously, that is the key piece in changing the dynamic, because you are the only person that you can control. And if you recognize that you are doing something that upsets the people, and it is not your desire, it's not your intention to upset your friends, to frustrate them, to hurt them, to make any kind of impact like that on them, then you recognize that you have the ability to change it. And you're not saying things like, well, you should be less sensitive, or it's not a big deal, or get over it. Remove those things from your vocabulary and recognize that their feelings are important. You've done that. It seems like you've done that because you're recognizing it's you and your behavior. So here's what I want you to do. There's a couple of things, because maybe your behavior isn't super egregious. It's not something that is harmful, but it is something that's playful to you, and it's something that you continue to want to do. So perhaps you want to continue talking about movies in depth. You want to talk about the director. You want to talk about the making of the movie. You want to talk about how the actors were cast. You want to talk about the showrunner. You want to talk about all the things about the movie. And it seems like it takes people down. People are like annoyed by you talking about these things. So as I said, a couple of things you want to do. You want to recognize the behavior and the impact that you have on them. And then you want to go inside of yourself and decide whether or not this is behavior that you actually really do want to change. Like you don't want to do it anymore. Do you want to say things that are frustrating to other people or seem frustrating to other people? Look for that. But also, is this a behavior that you want to change who you share it with? That's the other thing. Is it a behavior that you don't want to do at all, period? Or is it a behavior that you would love to continue doing, like talking about movies and the in-depth of things that are very important and interesting to you, but you don't want to do it with this particular group of people? Notice the difference. Notice the difference. So let's say you sorted out your behaviors and you've decided that, look, this isn't something that I ever want to do anymore, because no matter who I do it with, I get a reaction that I don't like. Now, this is all your work. This is all for you to discover why you do that in the first place. When it shows up, what are you feeling? What happens that triggers you to say those things? It's up to you to continue to pay attention to yourself and catch them and change them to do something else. So instead of saying some snide remark, you say nothing. You capture it in your head. You're like, oh, I could have said something that would have been, frustrating for people here, but I'm not going to do that. It's up to you. Nobody else gets that responsibility but you. So it's up to you to make those change. So what you're going to do is look at those behaviors that you want to change and change them. You really spend some time figuring out why you do it and then change them. I know it sounds simple, because it is. I know it's not easy, though. It's not easy, but it takes practice and work, and you can continue doing it. You will do it if you pay enough attention to it. If you're intentional about it, you can change your behaviors. You can replace it with a new habit. So let's say that now you're in this other scenario in which the things that you say, you continue to want to say those things. I mean, you want to talk about your movies. You want to talk about them in depth. You got to do some more paying attention, of course. Look at who's around you and who likes to talk about those kinds of things. Remember, when we talk about our relationships, it's toxicity or we talk about toxic relationships, we talk about those as in these are attributes to the relationship that we want to change. It's not necessarily terrible, but you're getting an impact of annoyance from the people you're talking to, and that's not something that you want. And you're the person who's facilitating this because you're talking about it to people who don't want to hear it. You don't want that reaction. You want something that's more joyful, more fun, more curious, They want to talk to you about it. They want to know more about it. So obviously you want to change that. So you change who you talk to about it. That's it. You change who you talk to about it. You go talk to other people about it. Recognizing that these people are not on your level when it comes to movies. They're not interested. Don't put yourself through that. You're going to push each other away. You're going to push them away because you're going to want them. You're going to impose something upon them, and they're not going to want that. And you also don't want to have to deal with their reaction. Your friends or the people around you, your associates, they're good for other things too. They're good for other things to talk about. So find others in your life, if it's really passion driven for you to talk about these movies, the behind the scenes, the showrunners, everything that goes on with it. You talk to people who like those things. And there's the end of the toxicity. That's it. It's over. So many people have reached out to me and said, I wish that you had a community, Coach Lee, because I would join instantly. Well, I have one now. It is called the Trust and Thrive Tribe. It's a collective for those who not only want to meet new people, but make deep, lasting relationships. You are going to be empowered and learn directly from me as well. Here's a high-level overview of what you're going to get. Weekly Q&A sessions. You bring your challenges, and I will give you practical solutions for your challenges. Twice a month, we'll have hot seat coaching. That means you can bring your specific challenges, and I will focus on you specifically for the entire duration of the call. And of course, you're going to have a community of like-minded individuals who are interested in making those deep, long-lasting connections. We'll also be running challenges with prizes like winning one-on-one coaching sessions and other ways to work with me. So if you want to make meaningful relationships, you always wanted to work with me, but you weren't sure how, this is your opportunity. Go to patternsofpossibility.com/trust and thrive. That's again, patternsofpossibility.com/trust and thrive for more information. Now it's time for your listener letters. If you'd like me to give you actionable steps to create more meaningful relationships with something that's happening with you in your life, you can write me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com, and I might read it here on the show. A friend stopped talking to me and now wants me back. A few months ago, my friend got a boyfriend and stopped talking to me completely, removed me from viewing her Insta insights or highlights, and now they've broken up, and she reached out to me to apologize. I apologize too, because I know that we both hurt each other. But now she's asking if we can hang out and talk. And I told her no, and that we should just move on. But she asked again, and now I'm feeling conflicted. Because on one hand, I'm not just going to let you back into my life where you drop me like I meant nothing. But on the other hand, I miss her so much, and I can't help but to wish things were the way they used to be. That being said, I think I want to just move on, but there's a part of me that wants to talk to her because I miss her. I just think I'd be mad at myself if I did. I don't know what to do, and it's really been messing with me for a few days. So that's it. Yeah, this is not a new phenomenon. It happens so much where people just feel like, I've got a boyfriend, I've got a partner, relationship, I'm getting, close, I'm getting romantic needs met, and they're so special to me, and they're so important, and nothing else matters but them. I just want to be with them all the time. And I am guilty of this too. This is something that I've definitely done in my relationships. I've treated as soon as I got a romantic partner, because it was kind of rare for me. As soon as I got a romantic partner, I was like, "Oh, baby, you're everything." That was me. It's like, you're everything. Nothing else matters. And of course, the relationship was absolutely terrible. It was terrible. I was not a good partner. I didn't understand my emotions or feelings, and I was reactive. And of course, I attracted somebody who was just the same. All of my relationships look something like that. So, I get it. I get your friend's side of the story where, you're just like, I'm so in love, and I just want to, that I understand your friend, but we're not here for your friend. Like a little bit of empathy and understanding, but also I've been on the other side of this too. I'm always on the other side. I have both experiences where I've been dropped or dismissed because someone else has gotten a partner. It's like, oh, that hurts. Or I've been dropped or dismissed for some other reason that wasn't clear to me. And then they come back out and they say, hey, no harm, no foul, right? We all had something good going on before and things didn't work out, and then I want to talk to you. And it leaves you in the spot, right? Like you are right now. It leaves you in the spot where they're like, well, wait a minute. I was so disposable. I knew you before you met that person. And the only reason why you want to talk to me is because you don't have anybody now? Be angry and frustrated about that. Feel so dismissed and belittled. Hey, I'm a person too. I have real feelings. I'm important. You used to hang out with me all the time. You used to call, text, and now you disappear and you want to come back? I would feel like a placeholder. I feel like, well, they're just reaching for something. I would look at them and think, well, they're just lonely now. And they don't really want me per se. They don't want me specifically. They just want someone. And I just happen to be someone they used to have a history with, or they had a history with. And now they were like, well, I know this person. The devil I do know is better than the devil I don't. Maybe that's not a good way to put your relationships. But the person I do know, I can just reconnect with them instead of cutting my losses and finding somebody else. Because if I really did value them, if they really did value you, if they really wanted you in their life constantly, they would have kept you there. But as soon as something better came along, they would trade you. And I found that, that was true for me. I would trade people like that. And I was afraid to go find new people. And so what I would say is that the behavior is likely to continue. So the person who wrote this, the behavior is likely to continue. So you connect with this old friend and you try to rekindle the relationship. And as soon as they see something that's better than you, quote unquote, better than you, somebody who excites them a little more, something that's new and shiny, they're going to drop you. And I would think that, knowing that or feeling that is what frustrates you or what scares you, makes you a bit conflicted about returning to this relationship, because it could happen again. But that's not a deterrent. That doesn't have to be a deterrent. I have this video where I talk about the 3 things to ask before connecting with an old friend, because it's really important that you understand what this relationship is going to look like. What do you really want from it? You're not just looking for the past. That's really key. So I'm going to share these 3 things with you right now. The first one is, what do you want? That's the question to ask yourself. What do you want? What do you want from this relationship? And it's not just to see how things are, how they're doing now. It's more than that. You have to be really more intentional with that. So the second question is to double down on this. It's, what do you really want? What do you really want from them? You want apology? You want understanding? You want acceptance? You want to apologize? You want forgiveness? What do you really want to happen in this relationship? So this is what it means. When you reconnect with them, when you decide that you want to check it out, the curiosity has got you going. Maybe they've changed. You can believe their words. Maybe things can be the way they were before, and you're living in the past and you're thinking about that. Great. Connect on that past. But now in the present, what do you want? I want absolution. I want forgiveness. I want understanding. I want a promise that you're not going to do this again. I want you to understand how painful it was for me and how difficult it was to be discarded like that. I want you to understand that. Have a conversation. You've got to talk to him about that. If you don't talk to him about that, just forget it, because it's going to linger and it's going to build resentment, and they'll likely do it again. So like I said before, it's not a deterrent to go back to them. But if you tell them about the behavior and how important, how impactful it was for you, that gives them an opportunity to see how they have hurt you, how their actions have hurt you, and give them an opportunity to decide. Because if you sweep it under the rug, they're more than likely to do it again. They're not being held accountable for it. So they'll know that, well, they can do the same thing. They can just find a new boyfriend, and they'll leave you for a couple months until the relationship falls apart, and you'll return. Because you did it before. without any accountability. So make sure to have that conversation. Number three is, what does your relationship look like going forward? What does your relationship look like going forward? So now that you've reconnected, you're like, things are the way they were before, but you're not living in the past. Things have changed. What is new? What will your relationship look like in the future? What will you do together? What's important about having this relationship with you? It's not just about what you did before. It's about what you'll do together in the future. So those are the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself and be intentional about figuring out those answers. What do you want? What do you really want? What do you really want to say? How your feelings are. And then the third one is, what does your relationship look like in the future? So with that, it'll give you clarity about what to do. If you write these answers out, if you look at these answers, you do some self-reflection and you look at them and you say, look, I don't really want anything. We didn't actually get along that well in the first place. I really just don't feel comfortable with having that happen again. I'm just going to go find my own friends because I was hurt. I'm going to find new friends because I was really, really, really hurt by that. If you discover that, then you let it go. You let that relationship go. If you want to go for it, then go for it and pay attention to what the behavior is. Pay attention to when they might start pulling away. Pay attention to that stuff. Pay attention to really if you enjoy their company, because that's really going to keep your relationship going forward. So with that said, do the reflection and let me know how it goes. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you like this podcast, share with someone who you think could benefit from this information, and follow me on social media. You can find me at Patterns of Possibility on all social media. And I go live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can catch me and learn more about these social connections and interact with other people who are looking for the meaningful connections, who share the same kind of stories, and be in community. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter at patternsofpossibility.com, where you will get actionable steps delivered to your mailbox every week. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care.